I need to tell you about the time I discovered that everything my mother taught me about good and evil was completely backwards. This happened when I was 12, and it changed how I see the world forever. When Jake transferred to my class that September, the entire room went silent. I'm talking dead silent, like someone had hit a mute button on 25 kids. Our teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, actually went pale when she saw his name on the roster. Everyone seemed to know something I didn't. Jake was tall for our age, athletic, the kind of kid who should have been popular. Instead, kids literally moved away when he sat down. During lunch, I was the only one who didn't know the unspoken rule. Stay away from Jake Morrison. You actually want to be my friend? He asked when I sat next to him. Genuine surprise in his voice. We spent the whole day together, and honestly, it was the best day I'd had in months. I didn't have many friends back then, so I went home excited to tell Mom about finally connecting with someone. The moment I said Jake Morrison, her face drained of color. Stay away from that kid, she said immediately. Him and his father are monsters. They put his mother in the hospital multiple times. I was shocked. Jake seemed so normal. Kind even. The next morning, instead of letting me walk to school like usual, Mom drove me. She marched straight to Mrs. Rodriguez and whispered something that made our teacher nod grimly. When I tried to sit near Jake, Mrs. Rodriguez physically moved my seat. I looked across the classroom and saw Jake fighting back tears. During recess, Jake stood alone by the fence while everyone else played. After school, I finally understood why the whole class treated him like he was radioactive. A beat-up Honda pulled into the pickup area, and I watched something incredible happen. The entire area cleared out. Parents grabbed their kids and speed-walked to their cars. One mom actually covered her daughter's eyes and said, "Don't look at him, sweetie." Jake's dad sat in the driver's seat with his head down, shoulders hunched like he was trying to disappear. Jake climbed in silently, and they drove away while everyone stared. But here's what didn't make sense. I'd been watching Jake's dad during lunch. He'd pack extra granola bars for kids who forgot lunch money. Jake stayed after school to tutor special needs kids. These weren't the actions of an abusive family. Then came the day that changed everything. I was walking home, counting the $50 my grandma had given me for my birthday, when 3 eighth graders surrounded me. "Look at the rich boy," the biggest one sneered, shoving me to the ground. They grabbed my money, and one kicked me in the ribs. I curled up, waiting for more pain. Suddenly, they all scrambled away. Jake's dad stood there not touching anyone, just standing. "You okay, kid?" he asked, helping me up. He walked me home without saying much. Just quietly made sure I was safe. When I told Mom what happened, she completely lost it. "He approached you. What if he'd taken you somewhere?" She immediately called the school. A known abuser confronted my son. By the next day, the whole school knew. Principal Davidson sent an email banning Jake's dad from school property. Parents shared it on Facebook, calling him a predator who lurked around children. Jake looked destroyed. He sat with his head on his desk most of the day. When I tried to slip him a note saying thanks, he pushed it back. "Please don't," he whispered. "You're making things worse for him." 2 weeks later, I found Jake crying in the library, trying to hide his shaking shoulders. "They spray-painted Predator on his car," Jake said. "He lost his job because of it. We might lose our apartment." He wiped his eyes hard. "Everyone hates him, but they don't know anything." "What do you mean?" I asked. Jake looked around to make sure we were alone. Then he dropped the bomb that shattered everything I believed. "We never hit Mom," he said quietly. "She hit us." My blood went cold as Jake continued. "Mom would throw bottles, smash plates, use lighters." He pulled up his shirt, showing me a burn mark on his back. "But she always threatened Dad. If he ever left and took me, she'd tell everyone he was the abuser." "And that's exactly what she did," Jake said, crying now. "When Dad finally took me and we left, she went to court and lied about everything." "But why does everyone believe?" "Because people don't Google anything," Jake said bitterly. He pulled out his phone and showed me screenshots that changed everything. Police reports, court documents, medical records, photos of bruises on his dad's arms, a hospital report from when his mom threw a glass bottle at his head, multiple restraining order applications his dad had filed but withdrawn. The dates went back years. I grabbed his phone and started taking pictures with mine. Jake tried to stop me, but I shook my head. "People need to see this." "No!" Jake snatched his phone back. "You don't get it. She'll make it worse. She always does." After school, Mom was waiting in the pickup line. She barely let me get in before starting. "I heard you were talking to that Jake kid in the library." "What did I tell you?" "Mom, you don't understand." "No discussion. You're staying away from him." She gripped the steering wheel tighter. "His father is dangerous. The whole community knows it." "But what if they're wrong?" I pulled out my phone. "What if I could show you?" Mom slammed on the brakes at a red light and turned to me. "Whatever sob story they fed you, I don't want to hear it." Abusers always claim to be victims. At home, I went straight to my room and started researching. The court case was public record. Jake's mom, Christine, had won full custody initially, but then Jake chose to live with his dad when he turned 12. That's when she filed the abuse claims. The timing seemed suspicious. I was deep in research when Mom appeared in my doorway. "What are you doing?" I minimized the window. "Homework." She walked over and reopened it. Her face went from confused to furious in seconds. "You took pictures of their fake evidence? Are you insane?" When I hesitated, she grabbed my phone. "I'm keeping this until you learn to make better choices. You're grounded. No computer except for homework, and I'll be checking." The next few days were torture. Kids started whispering when I walked by. "That's the kid who hangs out with the abuser's son." But they couldn't stop me from using the library computers during lunch. Mrs. Chen, the librarian, didn't pay much attention as long as you were quiet. I dug deeper into public records. Christine Morrison had quite a history. 2 previous restraining orders from ex-boyfriends, an arrest for assault at a bar, all before she met Jake's dad. I was printing pages when someone cleared their throat behind me. Mrs. Patterson, the nosiest parent volunteer, stood there with her arms crossed. Shouldn't you be at lunch? I grabbed the papers and stuffed them in my backpack. Just finishing homework. Wow. That afternoon, Mom was waiting in the principal's office when I got called down. Mrs. Patterson sat beside her, looking smug. Principal Davidson held up the printed pages. Care to explain why you're researching restraining orders during school hours? Mom's face was stone. We'll discuss this at home. The car ride was silent until we pulled into our driveway. Then Mom exploded. Mrs. Patterson told me everything. You're obsessed with defending these people. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with everyone else? I shouted back. You're destroying an innocent family because you're too stubborn to look at evidence. Go to your room. You're not leaving this house except for school until you get your head straight. At school the next day, it was worse. Kids moved away when I sat down. My usual lunch table was suddenly full. Even teachers looked at me differently. Jake caught my eye in the hallway and mouthed, "I'm sorry." I ate lunch alone in the bathroom stall, planning my next move. Over the next week, I developed a routine. I'd volunteer to help teachers after school, then use their computers when they stepped out. I found more about Christine. She'd been fired from 3 jobs for interpersonal conflicts. Her social media, before it went private, was full of rants about ex-boyfriends who'd wronged her. Jake started leaving me notes in library books. Dad lost another job interview when they Googled him. Landlord wants us out by end of month. Dad won't eat. Says food should go to me. Each note made me angrier. Then Mom found out about my after-school computer use. Mrs. Patterson's daughter had seen me and reported back. Mom showed up at school, furious. "I've had enough," she told Principal Davidson. "I'm concerned about the influence this family has on my son. He's lying, sneaking around, obsessing over them." Principal Davidson nodded gravely. "We've noticed changes in his behavior too. I want assurance that my son will have no contact with Jake at school. They moved my classes so I wouldn't see Jake. They assigned me a different lunch period. A guidance counselor started pulling me out of class for check-ins. But they couldn't stop me from thinking, from planning, from knowing that somewhere in town, Jake and his dad were suffering because everyone chose comfortable lies over uncomfortable truth. One day I saw Jake's dad at the grocery store, buying the cheapest bread and a jar of peanut butter. His clothes hung loose like he'd lost weight. When he saw me, he quickly looked away and headed for checkout. I followed him outside. "Mr. Morrison." He stopped, but didn't turn around. "You shouldn't talk to me. It'll make things worse for you." "I know the truth," Jake showed me. His shoulders sagged. "The truth doesn't matter when no one wants to hear it." "I want to help." He finally turned. His eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. "You're a good kid, but stay away from us, for your own sake." He drove off in his car, Predator still faintly visible under a layer of cheap paint. Dull. That night, Mom came to my room with her laptop. "I want to show you something." She pulled up the parent Facebook group. Post after post about Jake's dad. Saw him lurking near the playground. He followed my daughter in the store. "Why isn't he in jail yet?" "These are lies," I said. "He's just existing, and they're making it sound criminal. 300 parents can't all be wrong." Mom closed the laptop. "I'm trying to protect you. This man is manipulating you through his son. You're the one being manipulated by gossip and fear." "Enough." Mom stood up. "I've made an appointment with a therapist. Someone who specializes in children who've been influenced by dangerous individuals." My blood ran cold. "You think I'm brainwashed?" "I think you're confused, and I'm going to fix this." Late that night, I heard Mom on the phone. "Yes, I'm very concerned. He's obsessed with proving their innocence, taking pictures of supposed evidence. I think they've really gotten into his head." I stared at my ceiling, thinking. Everyone believed the story because it was easier than questioning it. Because a mother's tears in court were more compelling than a father's quiet denials. But I had time. I had determination. And most importantly, I had the truth. The therapy appointment was scheduled for Thursday. 3 days to work with. During first period, I asked to use the bathroom and slipped into the computer lab. I pulled up Christine's social media using a fake account I'd created. Her posts from 3 years ago painted a different picture than the grieving mother everyone saw now. Photos at bars, angry rants about deadbeat men, and one particularly telling post. Some people just need to learn their lesson the hard way. I always get what I want in the end. I screenshot everything before the bell rang. At lunch, I found Jake's note in our usual book. "Dad collapsed yesterday. Not eaten enough. Hospital won't admit him. No insurance. We're sleeping in the car now." My hands shook. They were living in their car, while Christine sat comfortable in the house Jake's dad had paid for. After school, I told Mom I was staying for math tutoring and ran to the public library 6 blocks away. I'd been researching for 20 minutes when Christine walked in. She looked nothing like the broken woman from court photos. Designer clothes, fresh manicure, confident stride. She headed for the fiction section, occasionally glancing around. Was she here by coincidence, or had someone told her about my library visits? She left after 10 minutes, but I couldn't shake the feeling she'd seen me. That night, I found a note in our book, but it wasn't Jake's handwriting. "Stop digging, or your friend pays the price." See? Christine knew. She knew I was investigating her. The therapy appointment couldn't come fast enough for Mom. That night, I heard arguing downstairs. Dad had come home from his business trip. "He's obsessed, Tom. Taking pictures of documents, researching the mother, defending them constantly. Maybe we should hear him out, Dad said quietly. What if there's more to the story? Not you too. Mom's voice rose. That man is dangerous. The whole community knows it. The whole community has been wrong before, Dad replied. Their argument continued, but I had hope. Dad had always been more logical, less swayed by gossip. The next morning, Jake wasn't at school again. I overheard teachers saying he'd been absent 3 days now. Probably too embarrassed to show his face, one said, after what his father did. After school, I convinced Dad to drive me past Jake's old apartment. The car wasn't there. We checked 3 other lots before I spotted it behind a grocery store. Jake's dad was slumped in the driver's seat. Jake was curled up in the back. Dad, please, I begged. Look at them. Does that look like a dangerous man to you? Dad stared for a long moment. Get back in the car. But instead of driving home, he pulled into the grocery store. He bought 2 bags of groceries and a hot rotisserie chicken. Stay here, he told me. I watched him approach their car and knock gently. Jake's dad jerked awake, fear flashing across his face. But Dad just held up the bags. He wouldn't take them at first, Dad said as we drove away. Said he didn't want charity. I told him it wasn't charity, just one father helping another. Thursday came too fast. Dr. Reeves' office smelled like vanilla candles and had inspirational posters on every wall. Your mother tells me you've been defending a classmate whose father has a concerning history, she began. I chose my words carefully. I've seen evidence that the story everyone believes might not be true. Sometimes when we care about someone, we want to believe the best about them, she said gently. But that can blind us to red flags. What if the red flags are pointing at the wrong person? We went in circles for an hour. By the end, she looked frustrated. I'd like to see you weekly, she told Mom. He's showing signs of oppositional defiance. Great. Now I had a label. Friday morning I found Jake at school. He looked terrible. Unwashed clothes, hollow eyes, hands shaking slightly. You okay? I whispered as I passed. He shook his head minutely. She called Dad yesterday. Said she'd drop the restraining order if we came back. Dad said no. She got angry. What did she do? Nothing yet. That's what scares me. During lunch, I used a teacher's computer while she was at a meeting. There was a new message in my email account, no sender name. Just you were warned. Attached was a photo of me at the library computer, taken from behind. Christine had been watching me that day. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your friend looks tired. Sleeping in cars is so dangerous. Anything could happen. I screenshot the threat and added it to my evidence file. Christine was getting bolder. That afternoon, Principal Davidson called me to his office. Mom was there, along with Mrs. Patterson and 2 other parent volunteers. We're concerned about your behavior, Davidson began. Multiple parents have reported seeing you researching private information about a family in our community. I'm trying to help them. By spreading lies? Mrs. Patterson leaned forward. That poor woman has suffered enough without you dragging her name through the mud. Have any of you actually looked at the evidence? I asked. Or are you just believing what you want to believe? Mom's face flushed. Apologize. Now? For what? Asking questions? The meeting devolved from there. They talked about suspension, about limiting my computer access, about increasing therapy to twice weekly. I sat silent, letting them plan my punishment while Jake and his dad slept in their car. That night, I heard Mom on the phone with Christine. I'm so sorry for what my son has been doing. Yes, we're handling it. No, he won't bother you anymore. Of course, if there's anything else. She was apologizing to the abuser, promising to silence me. Saturday morning, Dad took me to get a haircut. On the way, he said quietly, I drove by that grocery store again last night. They're still there, because they have nowhere else to go. Your mother means well, he said. She's trying to protect you. From what? From helping innocent people? Dad was quiet for a long moment. Show me your evidence. I stared at him. Really? I'm willing to look. But if I'm not convinced, you drop this. Deal. I agreed immediately. That night, while Mom was at book club, I showed Dad everything. The photos Jake had shared, the court documents, Christine's social media posts, her history of restraining orders, the threatening messages. Dad studied each piece carefully. His expression grew more troubled with each page. This is substantial, he finally said. So you believe me? I believe there's more to this story than we've been told. He rubbed his face. But your mother will never accept this. Neither will the community. They've invested too much in their version. So we just let them suffer? I didn't say that. Dad looked thoughtful. But we need to be smart about this. Christine clearly knows you're investigating. These threats? She's careful. Nothing directly threatening enough for police to act on. Dad's phone rang. Mom calling to say book club was ending early. He quickly helped me hide the evidence. We'll figure something out, he promised. But be careful. Don't do anything reckless. Sunday passed quietly. Too quietly. No notes from Jake. No threats from Christine. The calm made me nervous. Monday morning, everything exploded. I arrived at school to find police cars in the parking lot. Digging. Students clustered in groups, whispering excitedly. I pushed through until I could see what was happening. Jake's dad was in handcuffs. Jake stood beside a police car, tears streaming down his face. Christine was there too, holding a bloody tissue to her nose, talking animatedly to an officer. He attacked me, she was saying. I just wanted to talk about our son, and he went crazy. I knew immediately what had happened. She'd provoked him somehow, maybe hurt herself, and called the police. Classic abuser tactic. Provoke a reaction, then play victim. That's not true. I shouted, pushing forward. She's lying. She's the abuser, not him. An officer stopped me. Stay back, son. But I have evidence. She's been threatening me. Christine's eyes found mine over the officer's shoulder. She smiled slightly, triumphantly. They put Jake's dad in the police car. Jake tried to go with him, but Christine grabbed his arm. You're coming home with me, sweetheart. Where you belong. No. Jake tried to pull away. I won't go with you. He's my son, Christine told the officers. I have custody. He's just confused because his father has been filling his head with lies. I watched helplessly as she led Jake to her car, her grip tight on his arm. He looked back at me, terrified. At home, I told Dad everything. He immediately called his lawyer friend, but the news wasn't good. With Christine's new accusation, Jake's dad would likely be held at least overnight. We need those threats she sent, Dad said. They show she's been planning this. When I checked my hidden phone, the messages were gone. Somehow, she'd remotely deleted them. I still had screenshots in my email, but would anyone believe they were real? That night, I made a decision. If the adults wouldn't listen to evidence, maybe they'd listen to Jake himself. I started recording a video on my hidden phone, documenting everything. The dates, the timeline, the threats I'd screenshot before they were deleted. My name is Alex, I began, and I'm about to tell you the truth about Christine Morrison. I uploaded it to YouTube that night, then shared the link anonymously in the parent Facebook group. Within an hour, it had 50 views, then 100. Then Mom burst into my room. What have you done? The video was already being discussed in the group. Some parents were calling me a liar, but others were asking questions. Why would a 12-year-old make this up? What did he have to gain? You're grounded indefinitely, Mom said. No school, no leaving the house, nothing until you take that video down. No, I said. Ground me forever if you want, but that video stays up. Dad appeared in the doorway. Janet, have you watched it? I don't need to watch lies about that poor woman. I watched it, Dad said quietly, and I think we need to consider that our son might be telling the truth. Wednesday morning, the video had 2,000 views. Comments poured in. Some people called me a brat, but others shared their own stories of false accusations, of how hard it was for male abuse victims to be believed. Then Christine struck back. A new video appeared on the parent Facebook page. Security footage from a store showing me stalking her at the library. Another of me lurking outside her house. She'd edited them to remove context, making me look obsessed and dangerous. This disturbed child has been harassing my family, her post read. His father should be investigated for encouraging this behavior. I fear for my safety and my son's. The tide turned against us immediately. Parents demanded action. Some called for Dad to be fired from his job. Others wanted me institutionalized. Principal Davidson called Dad. I was suspended indefinitely pending a psychological evaluation. But something unexpected happened. Jake's dad's lawyer saw my video. Your son's video is the first real help we've gotten, he told Dad. Would he testify about what he's witnessed? He's 12, Dad said, and the community has already turned against him. I understand, but that video is making people outside your community ask questions. Sometimes that's all it takes. One crack in the narrative. Thursday brought a breakthrough from an unexpected source. A woman named Sarah commented on my video. Christine Morrison was my roommate in college. Everything this kid is saying tracks with what I saw. She put her ex-boyfriend in the hospital and convinced everyone he was the aggressor. I have photos. Sarah's comment included pictures from 20 years ago. Christine with bruised knuckles, laughing about teaching him a lesson. Police reports where she was listed as the aggressor but talked her way out of charges. I screenshot everything before Christine could get it removed. But Sarah did more than comment. She called the police department where Jake's dad was being held. She called local news stations. She called anyone who would listen. I stayed quiet 20 years ago, she told a reporter. I won't make that mistake again. By Friday, cracks were showing in Christine's story. The security footage she'd posted was being questioned. Why was she filming a child? How did she have footage from multiple locations? It seemed more like stalking than being stalked. Jake's dad's lawyer used my video and Sarah's testimony to request an emergency custody hearing. A judge agreed to review the case Monday. But Christine wasn't done. Friday afternoon, she called Dad's work, claiming he'd threatened her. She had a recording, cleverly edited from a voicemail he'd left asking her to let Jake return to school. Dad's boss called him in. There would be an investigation. In the meantime, Dad was suspended with pay. I'm sorry, I told him that night. I ruined everything. No, Dad said firmly. You stood up for the truth. That's never wrong, even when it costs us. Saturday, I spent the day refreshing the video stats. 50,000 views now. News outlets were picking it up. Local Boys video sparks debate about believing abuse victims. The comments section was a battlefield. Christine supporters called me a monster, but more people were sharing their own stories. Men who'd been abused and not believed. Children who'd watched their fathers destroyed by false accusations. The narrative was shifting. Then Sarah posted again. This time, she had video. Old camcorder footage from college of Christine, admitting she'd lied about her boyfriend. He was going to leave me, Christine said in the grainy video, so I made sure nobody would believe him when he tried. The smoking gun. I downloaded it immediately, backed it up everywhere I could think of. But Christine made one last, desperate play. Saturday night, she posted on Facebook that Jake had run away. My troubled son has been so brainwashed by his father's lies that he's fled our home. Please help me find him. Police issued an alert. The whole town was looking for Jake. Christine played the desperate mother perfectly, even doing a tearful interview with local news. I knew better. Jake wouldn't run away. He had nowhere to go, which meant Christine had done something with him, hidden him somewhere to make her story believable. I called the police with my theory, but they dismissed me. The boy who'd made the video was not a credible source, they said. So I did the only thing I could think of. I went live on social media. Jake Morrison didn't run away, I said to my phone camera. His mother is hiding him somewhere. She's done this before. Sarah's evidence proves it. Jake is in danger. Please, someone help find him. The live video spread faster than anything I'd posted before. People started sharing Jake's photo, but not with Christine's narrative. They shared it with warnings. This boy may be held against his will by his mother. Tips poured in. Someone had seen Christine's car at an abandoned property outside town. Another reported strange noises from a storage unit she rented. The police, faced with mounting public pressure, had to investigate. They found Jake locked in Christine's storage unit, with a sleeping bag and some water. She told him if he left, she'd call and say his father hurt him again. The news broke Sunday morning. Christine was arrested. Jake was safe, traumatized, but physically unharmed. The footage of police leading Christine away in handcuffs while she screamed about conspiracy was everywhere. But the real vindication came when they reviewed Jake's medical records with fresh eyes. The pattern was clear. Injuries consistent with abuse, all from before his parents separated. All from when he lived primarily with Christine. Jake's dad was released immediately. The charges were dropped. The reunion video of Jake running into his father's arms went viral. The community that had condemned them was forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. They'd been wrong. They'd chosen comfortable lies over uncomfortable evidence. They'd nearly destroyed an innocent family because believing a mother's tears was easier than questioning the narrative. Some apologized. Principal Davidson personally called to lift my suspension, and Jake's dad's school band died. Mrs. Patterson, surprisingly, showed up at our door with a casserole and tearful regret. But others doubled down, insisting Christine was still the real victim, that we'd all been fooled. The parent Facebook group split into factions. Friendships ended. The community that had been so united in their hatred was now divided by truth. Mom came home Sunday night. She stood in the doorway of my room for a long moment before speaking. I was wrong, she said simply. I was so focused on protecting you that I refused to see what was right in front of me. You were doing what you thought was right, I said. No, she shook her head. I was doing what was easy, believing what everyone else believed because questioning it was too hard. Our family started healing slowly. The therapy sessions Dr. Reeves had insisted on became family sessions where we actually worked through what had happened. Jake and his dad found a new apartment with help from a GoFundMe that Sarah started. The same community that had shunned them now donated thousands to help them start over. At school, things were different. Some kids treated me like a hero. Others whispered that I was a troublemaker who destroyed a family. Jake and I ate lunch together, no longer caring what anyone thought. Thank you, he said one day, for not giving up. Even when it cost you everything. You would have done the same for me, I replied. I don't know if I would have been brave enough, he admitted. To stand alone against everyone, to keep fighting when your own family turned against you. That took real courage. Christine's trial was months away, but her reputation was destroyed. The truth had finally caught up with her carefully constructed lies. She'd lost her son, her freedom, and the sympathy she'd weaponized for so long. But the real victory wasn't her downfall. It was Jake's smile returning. It was his dad getting a new job without whispers following him. It was a community slowly learning that sometimes the truth is more complex than the story they want to believe. I learned something too. Standing up for truth isn't easy. It costs you friends, divides families, makes you question everything. But when you know you're right, when someone's life hangs in the balance, you keep going. Even if it means becoming the villain in everyone else's story. Because sometimes, that's what heroes have to do. 3 months later, I got a text from Jake. They'd settled into their new life in Portland. His dad was working again, smiling again. Jake had made friends who didn't know their story, who just saw him as a normal kid. Christine was awaiting trial, facing multiple charges. Sarah had become something of a hero herself, speaking out about the importance of believing male abuse victims. My video had been viewed over 1 million times. Sometimes I read the comments, people sharing their own stories, thanking me for speaking up, for showing them it was okay to question the narrative everyone else believed. I still wear the compass Jake gave me. It reminds me that sometimes the right direction isn't the popular one. Sometimes you have to walk alone until others catch up. My mom and I have a better relationship now. We talk about things instead of her just telling me what to think. Dad says I taught them both that wisdom doesn't always come with age. At school, I'm known as the kid who made the video. Some people still avoid me, thinking I'm a troublemaker. Others seek me out when they're facing their own impossible situations. I've learned that the truth has a funny way of surfacing, even when powerful people try to bury it. It just takes one person willing to dig, to question, to stand up and say this isn't right. Sometimes that person is a 12-year-old with a phone camera, and too much stubborn determination for their own good. And sometimes, that's exactly what the world needs. The compass still points north, even when everyone else insists it's south. I've learned to trust it, and more importantly, to trust myself. Because in a world full of comfortable lies, uncomfortable truth is the rarest and most valuable thing you can offer. Even if it costs you everything. Especially if it saves someone else.